NXT had its homecoming tonight in Winter Park, Florida, at the one and only Full Sail University, the first home of NXT. Technically, NXT started off as a game show that led to the Nexus, and by the third season or whatever, no one was watching it. To me, NXT really began when they opened the Performance Center, and then they started taping at Full Sail around that time. That's when NXT really started for me, and it felt like such a nostalgic rush all night, and I really appreciated the show, and it was probably one of my favorite NXTs of the whole year. I really liked it. So we started off with several shots outside of Full Sail University to start the show, and instead of like showing when people arrive at the Performance Center, here they're just showing Full Sail University, which I really liked. We get to see inside and outside of the school. And then we get a video package recapping the history of NXT. We hear the old theme music and see some of the NXT alumni in the video package. And I mean, we actually got to hear the original theme song. I can first remember hearing the song while watching commercials for NXT on Sportsnet in Canada. And this is around 2012 or so. I was just enamored by it. I was thinking, okay, what is this? I hear this 2012, 2013, actually around that time. I hear this theme music. I see NXT. Isn't NXT supposed to be like a game show? I was a little bit confused. And I remember seeing Emma doing her dance. I remember that vividly. And eventually, I think I also remember seeing Paige do that roar. So around that Arrival show, that was the first official show on the WWE Network, by the way, NXT Arrival. That's when I started watching NXT. And I really didn't know anyone there before that show. That's when I really got into it around that time. But in the video package, we see Dusty Rhodes, who was all over it, and they're really, they want you to remember. They want you to know how important Dusty Rhodes was to NXT, and it was more so of them showing their appreciation to him. He also saw Roman Reigns, a young Roman Reigns, a young Eliati, whatever his name was. We saw Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, Adrian Neville, Bo Dallas, Rusev, Finn Balor, Tyler Breeze, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Pete Dunne, Aleister Black. Also saw American Alpha, the Street Profits were there, Bobby Roode, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa, Shinsuke Nakamura. And throughout it, as I said, with Dusty, we saw him a lot. We also saw Triple H, him doing those classic NXT speeches before the shows in which he would appear in the middle of the ring. Shawn Michaels, we saw him in the earlier days where he took over, him interacting in NXT with some of the talent, and that, of course, that led to him taking over later. And we also saw William Regal in the video package. There was some missing I had to mention. We didn't get to see Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole was the guy. They needed to show him more, and it was disappointing in a way. I get it. He's not with the company anymore. I don't think he's even wrestling right now. He has an injury, but at the same time, I'm thinking he should have been featured more. He was someone who was an integral part of NXT for a few years, in which he was practically the top guy. We didn't see Samoa Joe either. I think it was necessary to show him. Didn't see Dean Ambrose, and I get it. It was the early days of NXT, but they showed Roman and Seth and Dean. The three of them going up together in the Shield, it meant a lot, so I thought they could have shown him. They didn't show much of the Wyatt family. We saw Bray Wyatt, but we didn't see Luke Harper or Eric Rowan much. Then throughout the video package, they also showed the women. We see Paige, Emma to start. We saw them both earlier. We saw the match they had at NXT Arrival. I still remember when Paige put that submission on in Emma. Like, she lifted her up and bent her. I was like, it looked so sick when I first saw it. I thought both of them, especially Paige, would become bigger stars, and didn't really work out. We also see Charlotte there, and we see her beating Natalya to win the NXT Women's title at the first NXT TakeOver. Arrival was the first show that NXT produced. Then they did NXT TakeOver, which was the first TakeOver. That was just called that. We also saw Alexa Bliss there. We saw her featured throughout the video package. Really showing, it's funny when she comes in. Like, when you first saw Alexa Bliss, I remember it. She looks like a little girl. I remember the first time we see Alexa Bliss ever in NXT, I think her first ever appearance in WWE. It was a backstage segment. I just remember watching it. It was like, I remember like watching it during the day because Sportsnet would air it like after it already aired. But we see the BFFs, that was Charlotte Flair, who was just called Charlotte at that time. They didn't call her Charlotte Flair. She was just Charlotte. Summer Rae and Sasha Banks. And then Sasha is upset when Alexa Bliss like walks in the locker room and the two of them stare down at each other. And it's kind of fun. I guess that's where the rivalry really began. But then I just noticed, who's this Alexa Bliss? Because I saw Sasha Banks. She's really short. She's small. And then this Alexa Bliss girl is like tiny compared to Sasha. Sasha towers over Alexa. I'm thinking, who's this Alexa Bliss girl? She's so small and she's incredibly cute. And she looks like she's like, she just graduated high school. So I still remember seeing her. We saw Bayley throw it, and Bayley was featured pretty. We saw her. We saw the hugger. We saw Bayley was an integral part of NXT from like 2015. That was the year of Bayley. That was Bayley at her peak when she won that title. She beat Sasha Banks at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Who we didn't see Sasha a lot. We saw Sasha once, but I thought, I get it. She's with AEW. She's Mercedes Moné now, but Sasha, she's meant so much to the NXT Women's Revolution. And when you talk about the NXT Woman, if there's like a Mount Rushmore, Sasha has to be on there. I just kind of wish they would have featured more of Sasha Banks. But we saw Becky Lynch. We saw her. She wasn't in NXT as long as the other four horsewomen, as long as Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley were. But she definitely made a mark for how short she was there. She was only there a couple years. Actually, I think only Becky was on TV for like a year and a half, really. She was doing the Irish jig gimmick, but they show her saying she would main event WrestleMania one day. That clearly happened. We also saw Asuka, who was a cornerstone of NXT. She hurt the longest women's title reign of all time. She beat Goldberg's streak. Asuka, cornerstone there. Nia Jax, we saw Shayna Baszler. We also saw the iconic duo, not the Iconics, but we saw Billie Kay, Peyton Royce featured. Bianca Belair, we saw her near the end. We saw Liv Morgan when she just came in. It was brief. We saw her when she was not even the Riot Squad, when she was like doing this kind of gimmick that she was this New York girl. It was kind of what Carmella's gimmick ended up being on the main roster, kind of, in a way, which was funny. Carmella, we didn't see her. And she was there like right with all the other women when they first came in. Then we saw Rhea Ripley. We saw her when she beat Shayna Baszler on that NXT in 2019 to win the women's title. She had that big celebration. We saw that part. That was memorable. We got to see Io Sky. We didn't just get to see Io Sky. We got to see Io Sky with Poppy when Poppy did her entrance. That was my favorite Io Sky entrances with Poppy. I love those, especially during that Halloween Havoc show. That was great. That was a great memory. But as I said, I thought they should have shown Sasha more. I don't think they showed Kairi Sane much, too. There's probably other women. Ember Moon, she was champion, but she's with the other company. So there was a few they could have featured more, but a lot of the women, I'll skip some. They should have shown Sasha Banks more, okay? Yeah, I get it. They might not have the best relationship with her, but they had to show her more. She really deserved that. But this was the classic era they were highlighting of NXT from 2014 through 2019. To me, that's NXT. That's NXT Black and Gold. When they first went on the WWE Network, NXT Arrival, throughout like the takeover shows, then like the final takeover. Maybe not that. I think I would consider the period of NXT from going on the network in 2014 to 2020 before the pandemic. That's the classic era NXT I really remember. And I remember when did they leave Full Sail? In 2019? Maybe. I think 2019 is when they first left Full Sail. I might be getting that wrong, but this highlighted the classic era of NXT. And that's why I'm going on so long about this, because this is the Homecoming show, and I just thought this was an amazing video package. A lot of the highlights actually are from 2014 through 2015, which is my personal favorite era of NXT. That's when I really got into it, and that's when I got back into wrestling as a whole, because the main roster for WWE absolutely sucked in those years. It was just awful, but NXT was great. It really hit that nostalgic sweet spot for me, which I really liked. And then we got the classic Roar of the Crowd theme song. All longtime NXT fans remember that. I love that theme song, and they actually let it play for a while, and they showed the Roar of the Crowd song, or they played it while we still get that classic NXT intro, but we had it with modern stars, which was great, it was a nice touch. I'll say this was probably my favorite opening to a WWE show. Maybe, I guess, some of the openings to some of those Raw anniversaries, I might have to watch it again. But a lot of that, like, I just wasn't watching wrestling at that time. You know, when they're doing like a Raw 30 or Raw 25, we're showing like 1993 to around 97. I really wasn't watching wrestling, so I can't be too nostalgic for that. But I watched the early days of NXT when it first started, and it became, you know, it became incredibly popular to now where it's featured on the CW. So I really appreciated getting to see the early stuff from NXT. It was really a cool moment for me. Really nostalgic. So the show started off with Triple H. He walks into Full Sail. He's very popular as he's practically a god at Full Sail. It's an incredible atmosphere. The fans are great. And I really like when you hear Triple H talk, you can actually hear the sound. It's funny where when it's in the Performance Center, it sounds like a regular WWE show. But when Triple H talks at Full Sail, it's like a soundstage. It's really unique in a way. I really missed Full Sail. He puts over the Full Sail crowd. He thanks them. And then Shawn Michaels comes out. Fans sing the Sexy Boy theme song. This is similar in a way in which they opened up the CW together last year, which was the CW's debut. That was a big show for NXT. Probably a bigger show than this was. But I remember how they both wanted to open it up because Shawn is running NXT now. But Triple H is really who got it off the ground and made it into a developmental brand that was very successful. So they tease tension, they do a stare down, and Triple H brought it up when he's saying, what if I want to come back? And I'm thinking, they better not do this in Saudi Arabia in 2 years, or a year and a half, actually. That was the first thought that went through my mind, but I guess that's never going to happen. Triple H has a pacemaker. But I can see Shawn wrestling. And as they're doing the stare down, William Regal comes out and he says there's only one way to settle this. War games, fans go nuts. That was memorable when he first did that. And Regal is very popular. And then Charlotte Flair's old theme music hits. That's her first theme song. I think it was called Recognition. It's much different from the new one which has the I don't want to mention him, Def Rebel. This was the CFO version, which is so much better. It's kind of just a remix of her dad's theme song, but this sounded so much better. And she got some moves, and then Alexa Bliss is out to a big pop, and she's still in her regular gimmick. She comes out to the Fury theme song, her current theme song, but I really wanted to see that Tinkerbell gimmick again. When she first came in, I remember she did that Tinkerbell gimmick where she's like kissing sparkles at the crowd. She's like a Disney princess. I really wish we could see that Alexa Bliss again. Or I wish we could have seen like the Alexa Bliss who was the manager of Blake and Murphy, when that's really when the Goddess character began. I would have loved to have seen Goddess Alexa Bliss, but this was like regular Alexa Bliss. And we also, unlike Charlotte who came out to her old theme song, Alexa came out to her regular theme song. We didn't get to hear Spiteful, which was a really underrated theme song. I really like that theme song. Or even that first Alexa Bliss theme song, which is, the Spiteful was later adapted and sent to its own song, but that old Alexa Bliss theme song, I thought she could have came out to that, but it was just the regular one she uses now. And Alexa and Charlotte joke about Triple H and Shawn Michaels because they argue more than they do. Charlotte says the woman run NXT. That got a big pop. She really puts over the 4 horsewomen. She doesn't mention all of them because if she has to mention them, she has to mention Sasha Banks. And I guess WWE really doesn't want that. But then she mentions a whole bunch of other NXT female stars. I can't remember all of them she mentioned, but a lot of the main ones. I think I talked about all of them in my opening video package review. And she mentions Alexa Bliss at the end, and then Alexa Bliss mentions Charlotte Flair. Alexa mentions a whole bunch of other females as well, including Ember Moon, I remember. That's Alexa's good friend. And several of the other ones she mentioned, I can't remember all of them. But they're really putting over the woman and how integral the women were to NXT, which is so, that like the women are a cornerstone of NXT. They weren't just part of the show. It was a draw to a lot of people on the show. The woman, especially because the main roster was still the Diva era and it was awful, people would go to watch NXT to see the woman and how well they were featured, and everyone was excited about the 4 horsewomen coming up to the main roster. So, once Alexa and Charlotte are now situated in the ring, we see the culling in the back, and we see Tatum Paxley hugging Lyra Valkyria. That was her old friend that she was obsessed with. We see the two of them embracing before Tatum goes out for a women's tag match with Izzy Dame. And once we come back from break, we get a short video of Full Sail University and WWE's history with it. And then the culling make their entrance, Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley. And we get our opening match, which was the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship on the line. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss defend their titles against the culling, Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley. So Alexa started off with Tatum Paxley. They stare each other down with the dolls, which is cool. And they have this really cool stare down and a showcase in a way, because I think this meant a lot to Tatum Paxley. From what I've read on social media, I guess Alexa Bliss is her favorite. So it's probably a really cool moment for her. And they're both kind of doing that spooky, creepy gimmick in a way. So it fits when they went at it. I thought it actually was a cool moment in a way. Wholesome moment. And then Charlotte goes at it with Izzy. And I didn't realize how tall Izzy is when she stands next to Charlotte. She's actually a lot more muscular than Charlotte, because Charlotte's like super skinny now. She's like a toothpick. Old Charlotte was probably more muscular than Izzy, but I mean, Izzy looks bigger than Charlotte, and she was almost as tall as her now. The heels got the heat on Charlotte at the break. They really beat her down, and then she chops the hell out of both of them. Lots of woo chants from the fans. Alexa Bliss finally gets a hot tag and runs wild on Tatum. This is her first appearance, the announcer said, her first appearance in NXT since August of 2016, and that's surprising because I guess all of the other women who were around that time when Alexa first came in, she was around that. Alexa Bliss was part of that first class for the females in NXT. You had Emma and Paige, but they were more so in Tampa. The first real class in Full Sail in Orlando, at, I guess technically Windsor Park. And then at the Performance Center, the first class was Alexa Bliss was part of it, Charlotte Flair, you had Bayley, you had Sasha Banks, you had Becky Lynch, you had Carmella, you had Dana Brooke. So she was there for a while. I guess all the others have appeared in NXT except for her. So her first appearance in 9 years. So the culling distracted Alexa Bliss as she was on the top trying to hit the Twisted Bliss onto Tatum Paxley. And this delays Alexa and allows Tatum Paxley to get her knees up, so she blocks the Twisted Bliss. The culling get a close fall in which Tatum Paxley has her feet on the rope, but Alexa Bliss kicks out. That was a good spot. I didn't believe Alexa and Charlotte would lose, but I thought that was a close near fall spot. That worked really well. So Charlotte eventually broke up a fall, and then both Charlotte and Izzy fight on the outside. Alexa is left with Tatum. Alexa catches Tatum and hits the Sister Abigail DDT. Pins her 1, 2, 3. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair retain their WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Cool moment. They celebrate together. Happy to see them back in NXT. I wish we could have seen the other one from that era. But I guess we got Alexa and Charlotte. I thought Bayley, I wish they could have put her on the show. But maybe they don't want it to interfere with her gimmick on the main roster. Becky, I thought they probably could have had her on the show. I know she's busy. She has to feud with AJ Lee. Kind of wish Becky Lynch was there. The others, I mentioned that first class. Carmella's pregnant. Dana Brooke, she's in TNA. She's been on NXT a while before. And we know can't get Sasha Banks, at least for now. One day I think Sasha Banks will be back in WWE. Since I'm talking about her so much tonight, because she should have been featured more. But no Paige. They could have invited her. But no Emma either. Summer Rae, I remember she was there as well. But they represent that era, the first kind of crop of women for the roster for NXT. So Charlotte and Alexa win. Backstage, Izzy Dame and Sol Ruca are arguing. they're upset about what happened last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. Something happened where, I think it was actually last week, where Zarya accidentally hit Sol Ruka, costing them the match. And then Lainey Reed walks in, mocks them, and then Candice LeRae walks in. She was also part of NXT. I wanted to mention her. I should have. She had to weigh when she was with Johnny Gargano, her husband. And they had Austin Theory as Johnny's kind of protege. And then Candice's protege was Indy Hartwell. She was let go a couple years ago. But Candice walks in, kind of mocks them. She has a match next week. Wasn't really a nostalgia return for Candice because she is wrestling on NXT next week. And then Shayna Baszler walks in. I was surprised at first, but then I remembered hearing that she was being an agent for NXT. So maybe that's what she's going to do now. But it was cool seeing Shayna there. She got a big pop. I was certainly not expecting to see Shayna Baszler as she was released earlier this year. But that was a cool moment. She tells Sol Ruka and Zarya to fix it, get on the same page. She gives them good advice. I think people saw Shayna's friend. I think you know who I'm talking about, the woman who trash-talked Alexa Bliss. I think she would get booed out of the building, but I think people like Shayna Baszler, so she appeared. That was a good moment. Trick Williams is out next, and then he makes his entrance and then gets on the mic and, like he used to, introduces Carmelo Hayes. Even though they're more of 2.0/CW guys, at least Carmelo's more of a 2.0 guy. I guess you can consider Trick Williams more of a CW guy. It was a good moment to see them back together. They're teaming again. And then their opponents, DIY, they didn't come out to the classic DIY theme song. Instead, they had their separate entrances. I mean, they've done the DIY theme before the last couple of weeks. Here they had their classic entrances. Tommaso Ciampa comes out to his classic old theme, No One Will Survive, which is kind of a scary theme song, which was great. And then Johnny Gargano is out to his old classic theme song, Rebel Heart. I mean, it's so much better than their shitty theme song by Def Rebel right now, which I think hurts them. I think a lot of wrestlers nowadays are hurt by their shit theme songs by Def Rebel. I've made that rant multiple times. But sing their classic theme song, I guess in a way, it makes me appreciate CFOs. And I was never a huge CFOs fan when they were doing the theme songs for WWE. But compared to Def Rebel, man, those guys were great compared to Def Rebel. Def Rebel sucks. So we get the tag match DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa teaming up against Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. It's worth noting that Tommaso Ciampa was wearing the classic black and gold face paint that I believe he might have worn on that War Game show. That was the black and gold versus 2.0. I'm not sure if he did, but I'm pretty sure. So he was wearing that. He's representing black and gold. He's wearing black and gold war paint. That was a good touch. So you had, to start off, you had Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams getting the heat for a while, as the heels always do. They got the heat on the break for a while. DIY, I forget which one. It might have been Ciampa. I think he broke up a pinfall that was close on Gargano that looked like it could have been the finish. You had Trick Williams bring in the TNA Championship in the ring that gets taken away from him. And it's a distraction in a way. And probably my favorite part of the whole match is Gargano and Ciampa, as a tribute to their best rivals ever as a tag team, the Revival. Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder, I guess now known as Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood, FTR. I'm just sure, I just know Dax is going to say something about this. He's such an idiot. I mean, I'm sure he'll tweet something about this, but DIY uses the Shatter Machine. That was the Revival's old finish. They used the Shatter Machine. That was a holy shit moment for me. That was a pop for me. I got it out of my chair and cheered. That was great. But that wasn't the finish, unfortunately. They hit their double knee finish, and it looks like it's over, but it gets broken up. And then Johnny's taken out on the outside. The ref's distracted, and The Miz comes up from behind and hits a skull-crushing finale on Johnny Gargano on the outside onto the floor, throws him back in. His fellow Cleveland, they're both Clevelanders. I don't know what you call each other, but Both of them from Cleveland, throws them back in the ring. Carmelo Hayes hits a top rope leg drop onto Johnny Gargano and pins him 1, 2, 3. So you have the heels winning, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. The Miz celebrates with both of them. I guess it makes sense because it plays into their SmackDown storyline in which Miz is with Carmelo Hayes as a tag team, and he's feuding, I guess, now with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. I guess it was a cool moment. And if this was on TakeOver back in the day, these two teams would have had a classic, especially if they just allowed Trick Williams to stay on the apron. Have Carmelo Hayes tear it up with Johnny Gargano and with Tommaso Ciampa. This would have been an all-time classic tag match. Instead, it was still a decent tag match, but I guess it made sense in a way to have the heels win to further the story. So we see Prince Pretty himself, Tyler Breeze, looking into a mirror backstage. And then we have a break. When we're back, Kelly Kincaid is there interviewing Sami Zayn. They're backstage, and Sami mentions, she's asking him about his favorite NXT moments. And Sami mentions winning the NXT Championship. That was that classic NXT TakeOver Our Revolution show in which he won it. And then right after, Kevin Owens turns on him. Kevin Owens, by the way, was not invited for this show. I guess he's still recovering from his neck surgery or something, but we didn't see Kevin Owens. But he mentions that. And then she also asks him, who most reminds you of yourself in NXT? He puts over Javon Evans, and right when he mentions Javon Evans' name, Josh Briggs gets right in Sami's face. Javon Evans then appears, goes after Josh Briggs, fights him, and then Sami pulls him away. He pulls him aside and gives him a prep talk. Sami Zayn references the sky is the limit, and right when he said sky is the limit, I thought of Sasha Banks' classic theme song, Sky is the Limit. That was one of my favorite theme songs ever. I love that theme song. Sasha Banks' old theme song. One day I'll hear it again. Maybe one day at the Royal Rumble when she comes out, you hear Sky is the Limit again, people go crazy. But I thought that was a reference to Sasha in a way, an indirect reference. Maybe Sami just said it on his own. But he's giving words of advice to Javon Evans to get him on the right track and stuff. So you had Tyler Breeze make his legendary entrance next. I call it legendary because to me it was. I still remember where I was in 2014 when I first saw that Prince Pretty video package when we first heard that theme song. I still remember it. I was watching it all the time on YouTube, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. He does it, and he has a selfie stick, and I'm just thinking, wow, that is so 2014, and I love it. But, man, that is just so dated. That selfie entrance, it is dated, but I guess it's a nostalgic show, so for this time, it just works. But, yeah, that definitely, it belongs in a different era, if you will. Then Ethan Page is out. We get two Canadians competing for the NXT North American Championship. Ethan Page defends against Tyler Breeze. So the match starts off with Ethan Page getting the heat for a while. Vic Joseph snuck up an up, down, down reference, which was an honor, a nod to Xavier Woods, who was also part of the video package. I think I forgot to mention him. I'm not sure if Big E was. They might have shown Big E because he was the champ. I think Seth Rollins was the first champ, then Big E, then went to Bo Dallas, then Adrian Neville, so on and so forth. But they did reference Xavier Woods. So you had Tyler Breeze kick out of the Eagle's Edge, and right when Ethan hit it, I thought that's it, it's over. But you had Breeze kick out. Tyler Breeze made a comeback, got a lot of offense in, which surprised me. He got a near fall. Ethan Page actually kicked out of the spinning heel kick, which was a really cool finisher for Tyler Breeze back in the day. Eventually, Ethan Page hit the Twisted Grin for the win. Very good match. And then he had some guy from AAA. I don't think they even identified him. He appeared. He raised up his title. Ethan Page raised up his title. I don't really care to see a AAA feud anymore, but they did have that at the end. But I liked the match between these two Canadians, Ethan Page and Tyler Breeze. I thought they had a solid matchup here. Tavion Heights is backstage, and then Damian Priest appears. He gives him some advice. He talks about his match with Finn Balor at NXT In Your House. Priest tells him he's facing Ethan Page for the NXT North American Championship at No Mercy, which was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that, but we now have that to look forward to. Ethan Page, Tavion Heights at NXT No Mercy on the 27th of this month. Grayson Waller heads to the ring next. We see him walking backstage. Then they show us inside a Full Sail University as the classic NXT theme song plays, Roar of the Crowd. And then we have the Grayson Waller effect with Obafemi, your NXT champion, and challenger Ricky Saints. You can tell they're running low on time because both guys are already in the ring. Usually for the Grayson Waller effect, they would have both guys make their entrances. Obafemi accuses Ricky Saints of overlooking NXT and wanting to use it as a stepping stone to get onto the main roster. So he can quote, and this is from Obafemi, carry Cody Rhodes' bags, because Cody and Ricky Saints are good friends. Ricky talks about being rejected by NXT back in the day. That's true. I think he appeared on WWE television before. Not as a wrestler, but I think he appeared as like a backstage extra before. Ricky cuts a really good, passionate promo here. I really liked it. But then Trick Williams comes on. I'm thinking to myself, why? I don't care about Trick Williams. I don't want to see Trick here. Grayson says there's going to be a title match next week. It's title versus title. Trick Williams defends his TNA championship as Obafemi also defends his NXT championship. And they'll have a match next week in the main event. That's a big match. Grayson's going to do the send-off for the show, but Obafemi cuts him off, and he finishes the promo strong. I thought Oba really shined here, but I thought Ricky was very good as well. Trick, I really don't care much for. We got an NXT spotlight on Ren Sinclair and Charlie Dempsey. He says he's going to Japan for a month, and I guess that's to do with the WWE's partnership with Noah. So Charlie Dempsey's gone for a month. And then Bobby Roode appears after Ren Sinclair utters the word glorious. We get to hear glorious again. One of the best theme songs ever, by the way. Bobby Roode makes his appearance. And then Ren Sinclair also invokes the name of Joe Hendry, and he appears. I forget where he came out of this time, but we get to see Joe Hendry. And Bobby Roode actually wishes Joe Hendry luck because he's proud of Joe Hendry of becoming the becoming TNA champion. And he also wants him to become NXT champion because that's what Bobby Roode did. Bobby Roode was TNA champion and he was also NXT champion. We see shots of Full Sail University, the crowd. We get to see those classic black and gold NXT t-shirts. I need to buy one of those. I don't know if they can get them on sale anymore. Probably not. You're probably never going to find them. It's very difficult. But I want to get that old classic gold logo. That was that just brings back the feels, guys. I really miss the old school NXT. Lexis King is in the ring, and he says the black and gold era was overrated. So I guess kind of the black and gold era of NXT now is sort of what the Attitude Era is to WWE. It's always going to be that thing that's referenced, that benchmark, that measuring stick, if you will. He cuts a promo on Miles Bourne, and they'll face in a Lights Out match next week. I'm not sure what that means. What's a Lights Out match? But it is what it is. I guess it's when the whole thing's dark. I hope it's not like that Mountain Dew match that Bray Wyatt had with, it was actually Bray Wyatt's last match with LA Knight. I hope that's not what we're getting there, but it's a Lights Out match next week. Finn Balor then makes a surprise appearance to his classic theme song. That classic Finn Balor theme song. So much better than that shitty-ass Judgment Day theme song. Fuck Def Rebel. I mean, man, CFOs were like, they're the Rolling Stones compared to Def Rebel. I'm not lying. Def Rebel sucks. But he has the classic theme song. There's no demon. He's just the guy in the leather jacket, the old Finn Balor. No demon, but we did get to see Finn Balor here. He's total babyface here. A complete inversion from the character he plays on Raw. He's doing the click with the fans. That classic too sweet thing. And Finn then points at Lexis King. And behind Lexis King, Miles Bourne appears and takes him out. Finn Balor then goes to the top, hits the coup de grace, and then Finn Balor, I guess as a total babyface, raises the hand of the babyface Miles Bourne as an endorsement. So we had several endorsements on the show. I guess similar with Damian Priest and Tavion Height, Sami Zayn, and Javon Evans. Now with Finn Balor babyface now, endorsing Miles Bourne. You had Vic Joseph and Booker T, the announcers, preview next week's show. Then Fatal Influence was out. And we didn't get to see the Fatal Influence entrance, by the way. That was the one thing missing on this show, but they came out next. We see the outside of Full Sail University, and I'm thinking to myself, can we just stay at Full Sail? I miss Full Sail, and it's like I went to school there. It's like I'm an alumni from that I graduated from Full Sail. I'm a Full Sail alumni, which I'm not. I don't even live in the United States, let alone Florida. But I do miss it. I do miss that atmosphere. Full Sail is part of NXT, man. I miss it. You had Kelly Kincaid interviewing Dark State, and I'm thinking to myself, that's the one way you ruin the show for me. Fucking Dark State. You're making me watch Dark State on this great NXT Full Sail reunion show. They're back at Full Sail. You have all these classic NXT stars back, all the alumni back, and have to watch fucking Dark State. Fuck Dark State. But you had Montez Ford walk in to give them some advice. He teases there's going to be tension with Angelo Dawkins. He indirectly references it. And I thought, all right, when we saw Montez, we're going to see Bianca, because it was said Bianca Belair is going to be on the show. But they gave nothing to Bianca on this show. I thought she should at least appear with her husband Montez, because it's been so long since we've seen her. I mean, she made that one appearance on SmackDown, but we never see Bianca. I guess she was at that WrestleMania 43 press conference last week, but she didn't appear with Montez here. But we did see the EST, Bianca Belair, in the crowd ahead of the main event. I wish they gave Bianca a little bit more to do for this show. Lyra Valkyria is out next, and then Stephanie Vaquer is out, and then Rhea Ripley comes out to a big pop in Full Sail. The three, I have to say, aren't necessarily the Full Sail NXT era. I guess with Lyra, she's more of a 2.0 girl. Before 2.0, Lyra Valkyria was on NXT UK, and Rhea Ripley is, an NXT UK star. Her and Toni Storm, who's not with the company anymore, she's with AEW now, but Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm were the big two female stars of NXT UK. Everyone knew they would both become stars, and Rhea just went on to be a major star in WWE, but they were more in NXT UK. Rhea Ripley was, and Lyra Valkyria was, than they were in NXT at Full Sail. And I think by the time Rhea came, Full Sail was done. I'm pretty sure. By the time she came on the main roster in the United States full time. And then with Stephanie Vaquer, obviously, she was recent. She hasn't even been in the company she hasn't been in the company for maybe a little over a year now. I guess Stephanie Vaquer has been in the company now. But with her, she was, she's recent. She was still NXT champion, a few months ago. So they aren't necessarily Full Sail NXT, but it was cool seeing them on an NXT reunion show. And Lyra Valkyria isn't the star that Tiffany Stratton is, but I guess she was a nice, suitable replacement, because who else are you going to find as a babyface that can replace Tiffany Stratton on such short notice? It's unfortunate Tiffany missed out, because Rhea, Tiffany, and Stephanie, that's like the ultimate female dream team. But the three of them came out, and you get the main event: Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vaquer, and Lyra Valkyria against Fatal Influence, JC Jane, NXT Women's Champion JC Jane, and her partners Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley. So early in the match, you had Rhea Ripley doing a Razor's Edge onto JC Jane, onto the outside, and she lands on her tag team partners on the ramp, which was a good spot. And I had to make a note of this because the announcers, both Vic Joseph must have mentioned this multiple times, that TNA wrestling stars have voiced their frustrations over NXT Homecoming tonight on social media, which was mentioned repeatedly, but also during the main event. I'm thinking there's going to be a TNA invasion. I think that's what we're getting next week. I don't think there's going to be a clear-cut winner between Oba Femi and Trick Williams. I think there's going to be a TNA invasion angle next week. So during the break, Fatal Influence gets the heat on Lyra Valkyria for a while. Stephanie Vaquer gets the hot tag and runs wild. Looking great, by the way. And speaking of looking great, Rhea Ripley gets the hot tag and she goes wild in her extremely tight ring gear, which looks great, I'm not going to lie. Everyone loves Rhea Ripley, don't we? So Stephanie and Rhea are in the ring together, and they tease doing the double devil's kiss for a while. They let it drown out, like they're kind of like, they're milking it in a way. They're really milking it to get the fans really excited for it. And then there's this spot where Lara Valkyria, I guess she does a double drop kick on the outside to one of the Fatal Influence members. So she takes them out, and all I was thinking was, I guess they don't want Lyra doing this, but I thought if Tiffany Stratton was in this match, she's absolutely doing this. They're going to have Tiffany Stratton do that. Are you kidding me? People are going to be thirsting over Rhea Ripley doing it. And, of course, we already see Stephanie Valkyria doing it and Tiffany Stratton, those three. If they don't really sexualize Lyra Valkyria as much, but Tiffany Stratton, yeah, you bet your ass, or her ass, that she was doing that devil's kiss spot with both Rhea and Stephanie. I thought they almost envisioned the three of them doing it together and being like this great moment. But yeah, you had Rhea and Stephanie do the spot together, and they hit the double devil's kiss. Everyone goes wild. Booker T does the and the entire Full Sail University crowd does the with them. It's going crazy. It was definitely a spectacle, I have to say. It was something else. It was really cool seeing Rhea and Stephanie do that. Tiffany, I thought, would have done it as well if she was in this match. So JC Drane's, talking a lot. JC Jane is retreating up the ramp. It's as if she's going to ditch her tag team partners. But the referee's distracted, so he doesn't see what happens next. Lola Vice, the number one contender to the NXT Women's Championship, she will face JC Jane at NXT No Mercy next Saturday. She backs JC back into the ring, and then she hits the spinning back fist onto JC Jane as the referee's distracted. And then this allows Rhea Ripley to hit the riptide on JC Jane. Rhea Ripley then pins JC Jane 1, 2, 3. No problem with having the NXT Women's Champion lose to Rhea Ripley. That's fine. But Rhea pins JC, and her team gets the win. And then you have Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Valkyria, and Lara Valkyria celebrating together, getting the win. Then Lola Vice gets in the ring. She celebrates with them. And the faces stand tall as Fatal Influence is upset that they lost. You have the four of them, I guess, in celebration. And then we see the end credits. We see, it says produced by Paul Levesque, Shawn Michaels, Lee Fitting. It looks like the show's over. But technically, the show doesn't end like that. They don't end the show like that. I guess that might be the last thing the people at Full Sail see, but they go backstage again, and we see a stare down between Trick Williams and Oba Femi to promote the show next week. I guess they assumed that this was going to be a big rating for NXT because it's their homecoming in Full Sail, and they have so many main roster NXT alumni stars appearing, so maybe they wanted to promote next week. But he ended the show with a stare down between Trick Williams and Oba Femi. William Regal says, "May the best man win." And I don't think the best man is going to win next week because I think next week we're getting a TNA invasion. So I think that's why they pushed this so hard. As for NXT Homecoming, I love the show. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was everything I wanted it to be. I've loved the opening video package. I'm probably going to watch it multiple times this week. I loved it. That was great. I really like the tribute to NXT. I love the celebration. I love the ceremony. I love the nostalgia. I can't help it. I really like that time of NXT, and it really made it feel like it was back in that time. So, really liked NXT tonight. Felt like a big show. To be honest, this was a much bigger show for NXT, in my opinion, for me, than No Mercy will be. But, yeah, one of my favorite parts of NXT all year. Probably my favorite NXT show. I think if I'm ever going to watch a show this year in 2025 again from NXT, it would be this show. It's not the best show. The best show is still the MSG show. That was probably the best show, period. It was better than any PLE they did that year, or this year. That MSG show was excellent. But this is probably my favorite NXT show. Might be my favorite WWE show of the year because I'm such a big fan of that old era of NXT, that Full Sail year era, that black and gold era. Especially like the earlier days, not as much as the later days when they went on, when they became a 2-hour show. I remember that old 45-minute NXT show. Always nostalgic for that. Really got really glad they paid tribute to it, and I thought the show was really good tonight. So NXT Homecoming for me definitely delivered, and I'm going to miss Full Sail University, but it was glad to see. It was nice to see NXT back in its home of Full Sail University, which will forever be the first home of NXT. We love you, Full Sail.